man.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Hands Across the Water. With me, as usual, is Baz, the other half of Hands Across the Water, as you all know, and the famous Baz, and Frankie as well. How are you doing, Frankie? Keeping good, mate?
Aye, right. Well, it's like 1 in the morning for me, but I don't mind, man. I don't mind. I've got nothing else to do. No work in the morning. Just got a cat trying to attack me here, but other than that, all good.
Enjoying retirement, mate?
It's weird because I've lived here for 20 years, but today when I was coming down the road, me and the kid went to town, and I was driving back, and it came into my head automatically, right? Well, when's work? And I was like, you've got no work. You know what I mean? And it was quite almost emotional in a roundabout way. You know, it was like, wow, like, you know, I might still do the odd shutdown locally, but I'd be going home every night. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not going away again, unless I go off for stupid money. But that's, you know. But yeah, it's all good. This Scotty, yeah.
Well, at least you're enjoying it, mate. That's what it's all about. So that's why we all work so hard to try and have a nice retirement at the end of it. Well, that's the way it's meant to work anyway. How are you keeping, Baz, then this week?
That's all good. It's been a peaceful week, hasn't it? International breaks aren't the same as domestic football, but watching a bit of Northern Ireland tonight after their defeat the other day. So hopefully we'll have a better evening with the old Northern Ireland.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, Northern, as usual, it was glorious, but the boys put their all in. But we've still guaranteed ourselves the way other results fail on the night. We guaranteed ourselves a playoff anyway, so we never know. We'll see who we get. I think it's Ukraine, Italy, Turkey. Maybe another team in there we could get. We have to play them a one-off away. So it's going to be tough no matter who we get. But listen, you'd rather be in the playoff than not. And what about Scotland as well, Frankie? You're in good position, mate. I know there's some following. I know you're one of the ones that do, mate. It's basically a one-off shootout between yourselves and Denmark at Hampton Park.
Go and win. Simple as that. It's pretty straightforward. And listen, Hampden will be loud tomorrow night. For all the Tartan Army, you know, right? But I won't get into that. It's we've got to win, man. And the thing about Scotland for me, and I've been this person. At the end of the day, we're all British yourselves, not Ulstermen, the Welsh, ourselves in England. You can't call yourself British and not support a home nation. You know, I know Steve Clark's a bit of a so-and-so, and I know there's elements the Tartan Army don't like us. But at the end of the day, that's my country. That's where I grew up. The kid next door there's half Scottish, you know, she's got a Scotland shirt on. She had it on today. She's not too into football. But you know what I mean? I've taught her and my other kids to support Scotland, even though they're not quite. But I'd say I would never, ever tell them about the negative side of it, that they didn't like my football team. You know, they're all Liverpool, Man United fans. But you know what I mean? That's our country. And when I grew up, 70% of Hampden was Rangers fans.
Yeah. I remember the last time he's got the World Cup was 1988. I remember I was only a nipper back then, but I was, when you had some class players, and a lot of Rangers players and stuff playing. I think it was Brazil. You played the first game. That was and you actually, I thought you played all right. You know, but they played Brazil at that time. They were the favourites, I think, in that tournament, weren't they?
Aye, and the thing is, it was it one each with minutes to go. Then Tom Boyd scored an own goal for Brazil to win. We did all right, and to play in the first game of the World Cup against Brazil, it's you know, I mean, but they did all right. But there was some good football players in that back then, you know, not Tom Boyd though.
We'll talk a bit about the Rangers as well then. So what has your thoughts been, Baz? I'll come to you as well after, Frankie. What's it been like just enjoying the break? So we've had a bit of a reset, Baz. 3 wins in a row. So what's your thoughts with Roll going into the next week's game? Are you a bit more excited now than what we have been most of this season so far?
Yeah, I think Rule has got what Rangers are about, hasn't he? Very, very, very quickly. He seems to have got the vast majority of fans on board straight away. Domestically, we're winning week in, week out, which is fantastic. That's what we want. Europe, unfortunately, is going to be a wee bit of a sideshow at the minute. But and I'll be honest with you, Danny Role wasn't the guy who I initially wanted. I didn't think that. I thought it was too soon for Danny. But I love being proved wrong. And at this moment in time, Danny Role is he's created a wee bit more excitement. You know, the fans are now playing, especially domestically. We're going into games thinking we can actually go and execute the game plan and win the match. And that's the most important thing at the minute. And yeah, fantastic. I'm actually, to be honest with you, I didn't want the international break. I thought, excuse the pun, but we were slightly on a roll. And, you know, I actually would have liked to see the game last game, but I think that break probably. Do you ever notice in sport where when you get a break, when you're on a type of a run, and it's trying to recreate that straight away again? So hopefully this weekend, Danny can get the boys up again and we can get another win. But I'm very, very confident, which I haven't been for quite a while.
Yeah, what about yourself, Frankie? It seems to be this. Like, I don't think any of us are getting carried away. You know what I mean? We know we've still work to do. We know that, you know, probably the capabilities of the squad. But, you know, credit to Danny Ruler, what he's done so far. I mean, you know, in the league especially, he's been given 3 league games. He's won them all. You know, and that's all you can ask for, isn't it?
Simple as that. And if we'd had the haircut was still there, we'd have lost one of those games minimum. We'd have lost one of those goals minimum. But I'm kind of going to disagree with you, Baz. I actually liked the break coming when it did. I thought, right, it gives him time to breathe. It gets him time. You've got to remember the off the field stuff. I think he's gone home to Germany. Get a wee breather, Britain. He's going to be bringing his wife and kid over to find a flat. You know, I'm assuming he's in the flat that Russell Martin was in because Rangers own that. You know, I think there's a wee breather there. And there was something he did. See, the other day, I was actually a bender and it came up and I said, don't look at any Rangers, you know what I mean? But a pop-up came in and it said, Danny Rose away to Ibrox to meet the staff. And I was like, why didn't he do that? Then I realised right away, thought, wait a minute. He wanted just to get to Ibrox and win football matches, learn the players, get to meet the players in one-on-ones, you know, sit and have a cup of tea in the office, work it out. And then when he went to Ibrox to meet the staff, it was quality time. It wasn't, hi, I'm Danny. Hi, I'm Danny. Hi, I'm Danny. By all accounts, he sat there and he talked to people and he knows people's family. He knows what their kids are doing. You know, and he helped the Union Bears set up the TIFO, apparently, which is just mental. You know, and some people may look at that as kind of, for want of a better words, plural, bumlicking. It's not. I think that's him. That's him. He's a football man through and through, from the terrace to the dugout.
I'll just this quick question I'll put to you as well, just because obviously if the international breakers will be all a wee bit all over the place, but someone's put in a question, so we'll start with you, Baz, with this one. Let me see. Harvey Rowland says, I heard that Rangers are looking at our very own Shea Charge. What do you think of Shea Charge? I think he's decent. Baz, what do you think?
He's a very, very good midfielder. He's young. He's hungry. We probably don't have a player like Shea Charles in our midfield to his level of quality. I'm not putting him against Nico Raskin. It's just Shea Charles plays a slightly different role in midfield than what Nico would play. I actually think the two would complement each other. The only thing I would say about Shea Charles is it has to be a permanent move. I don't think we can go down the loan route with Shea Charles. It's just too many loan players, and my only issue is how much we'd have to pay for Shea Charles. He's already cost, I think, 15 million at one point from City till Southampton. It was a big fee, so that's my only thing. Would it take him? Yes. Would we have the funds that we can actually spend to get Shea Charles up? And my other issue with that is that if we spend too much on him, we may not be able to recruit in certain other areas that we're desperate in, and like a left back, centre back. But in terms of the player, yes.
What about yourself? I don't know if you don't know. Go ahead, sorry, mate.
Sorry, I'll be a hands up. I don't know the chap very, very well to comment, but see the money thing. We've got the money. I don't think money's an object at all. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean we're going to pay stupid money. You know what I mean? We won't be held to ransom. But what we've got to remember this Christmas, the period coming up. There's 2 taxes there. There's a January tax and there's a Rangers tax. But Thelwell's on record. Mr. Kavanagh's on record. Funds will be there. You know, and that they're on record. Forget what I know. We'll probably come to Thelwell, but Rangers have unequivocally, is that the right word? I don't know if I've ever used that word before. Said the money, the funds over there. And Mr. Kavanagh, the level he works at in business, he's getting watched from people from other businesses. He's made a backside of this in their eyes at the moment. He doesn't fail twice in 6 months. That's the way I view him, you know.
Yeah, well, I think, as I say, we'll get on to Thelma's situation. I think it sort of helped me, sort of put a few of us to ease a bit more. That I think twice that he, in his recent interview there, he says that basically the manager, Danny Rule, will have the final say on any players coming in. I think that's very important. I think he reiterated that. He made the point and then made it twice, as if to say, don't give me all the grief next time, because Danny Rule's definitely going to have the final say, which is needed, Baz. It's important that happens, isn't it? You know, if you know, I would say he's a young manager, but he knows, he's worked in that championship. He knows what works and what doesn't. You know, for me, Russell Martin just, you know, I'm sure he signed off on players as well that just haven't worked out, if we're being honest. But I would say, but Danny Rule, we're a bit more confident that he'll pick the right players, because he's already started to navigate the game around the Scottish League and how to play. And I think he'll see, you know, especially this term he's had, of what positions he needs and what kind of players could fill that. And I think that'll only help us get into January.
Absolutely. If you only have to look at Mikey Moore. Look what Danny Rule's instilled in Mikey Moore since he's come in. Mikey Moore's a completely different player. He's now playing like the player that we actually anticipated him coming from Spurs. The confidence, the freedom to express himself on the pitch. He's not bogged down to one possession. So Danny Rule's identifying which of his players play in their best roles. Where in the previous regime, it was you play to the role that I'm telling you to play, regardless of whether you like it or you don't. And I think with the players' faces and as the weeks go on, you can see a much more confident and much more happier players that when they're entering the field. Some aren't so happy; they're not getting maybe the game time they require, but that's the way it goes. But I would definitely look at, you know, Danilo. Danilo's looked better. He's looked sharper under Rule. So there is improvements already with certain players in the pit. Connor Barnes looked really good under Rule. Magoma's looked really well. So there's definitely positive. Tavernier's played better under Rule. So there's improvements already with Danny Rule.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel as well when talking about young Moore, he's back in the D at the Rangers goal, picking up the ball, running forwards. Because Rose said, there was a post today somewhere, and Rose, right, you start left wing, you start right wing, but you know, if you happen to drift off, no bother, go and do your thing. Because I think somebody like Moore, he's a player that you just say, go and do your job. You know what I mean? Because if we're to believe Tottenham fans and the media down south, that kid's going to be an England starter when the going gets when he gets there. You know, I know there's a big competition in that kind of position, but that's an England's player there. You know, and it's just because there's still a couple of players aren't playing too well, but as a team, we are better. You know, as a unit, as an 11 on that football pitch, we're better, and that's what we want to see. And it happened almost instantly as well, and that's difficult to do with a team that's down in the dumps.
Yeah, I just have looking through the comments here. Scotty from the Rangers Journal saying about a regular pod between us. He's talking about obviously that Not An Our Rangers podcast, Hands Across the Water, and Frankie, a once a month show if we get recorded in the background and then just put it all out in our socials. We're up for that. Baz, what do you think?
Oh, bring them all on.
Absolutely,
that's the whole lot.
I know the things I'm dying to get on with Scotty and all that, but the thing is, the other day it was like, can you come on at 4 a.m? And this was midnight. I was like, Scotty, mate, for all I will do that. I just need 24 hours for a 4 o'clock in the morning job. Just and it just shows I don't wander off on a bender or anything like that. But that would be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, we can work something out because look, when we're talking off here, there isn't one podcast or whatever that I dislike. I'll learn from all of you. I learn from you. I learn from the journal chaps. I learn from the big guys, you know, the Heart and Hand, you know, those guys that, you know, the kind of Premier League, shall we call them. I learn from all them. I listen intently and steal all their ideas and post them as my own.
No, it's good. That's what it's all about, though. And I think this show here is Frankie as well. You know, obviously our name the hands across the water. That's what it's all about in
Absolutely.
the first place, is to put your hands out, the likes of yourselves, and get everyone. That's why we've always had guests on here on a month. Me and Baz have always invited everyone on. We've had loads and loads of great people on. So yeah, 100%. Sounds a bit exciting. So it'll be definitely something good. And I think most of the guys that come and the girls that comment sort of watch us all anyway, so they'd probably enjoy that as well. So we'll definitely do it. So yeah,
just one thing though. If we do that, do not work around my schedule. I work around you, because remember, I'm retired. I've got bugger all else to do. If I need up at 6 in the morning, that's no big deal. I'm on for 40 minutes. I walk 6 feet that way and go back to my bed, fart myself to sleep, and let the missus go to sleep on the couch. You know what I mean? So it's not. I work around Scotty, etc. I work around your schedule, not me. Try and work around me. You know.
Well, we'll definitely get something sorted. So before we go, because we're going to be talking about a couple of new coaches coming in and stuff as well. But there's been a few rumors of Tavernier and maybe getting an extra contract. I'll start with you on that one, Baz. If that was what's your thoughts on that one? And I know it's a Marmite situation with Tav. We all know that. But what's your there's some love him, some don't. But there's no doubt, and I'm probably one of the ones who probably, if I'm being honest, at the start of this season was thinking, look, it's time to sort of, change that position up. But listen, you can't really say he hasn't been the best in that position. We've brought in Max Aarons. Unfortunately, he hasn't been. He was brought in, obviously, to come in and take that position over. It hasn't quite happened for him. But we've already got some in the comments writing no and some writing yes. So it's divided already. But so good luck with that one, Baz, and Frankie, after answering that one. Your thoughts?
I think Tavernier's testimonial is due at the end of the season. I think it would be a good way for him to actually bow out on a high. If he has a half-decent season and he gets a good testimonial, I have to be honest with you, I would like to see us recruiting a wee bit more of a youth, especially in right back, because Tav just doesn't really have the legs to play at right back. He's looked okay at centre half. I tell you what, he hasn't looked any worse than John Suter or Nigel or Cornelius, to be fair. He hasn't looked out of place over them three guys recently. But in terms of the Rangers moving forward, I personally think this should be his last season. It's nothing against him in terms of him as a person. I just think at 34, it's probably now time to look at changing the guard. And that's just my thoughts on it. Would I love to see him lift a bit of silverware before the end of the season, get a testimonial, move on? Of course, he's been a long servant to the club, but for me, I'm hoping this is probably his last season.
What's your thoughts on that, Frankie? If I think, if we're being honest, he isn't the player he was. I think that's everyone will admit that, whether you like Tav or you don't, or whatever. But it's more of a Rangers issue that we haven't been able to replace him more than the fact that he's getting on all the time. But there has been players who are given their chances and they're just, unfortunately, hasn't worked out. But going into the next season, would you give another contract?
Absolutely, I would. And but before anyone kicks my head in, there's a few reasons. Number one, I think Danny Rowe will do that because he's our senior player. He'll want him there for the handover, this new period that's coming in. But only he wouldn't be the starter. He'd be a bench man. He'd be a squad player there to help people bed in, young kids bed in. Because remember, the stuff he does off the pitch as well. Somebody like young Mickey Moore, he'll have him up his house for a cup of tea or a meal and stuff like that. The big brother thing like that, because I know for a fact he does stuff like that. And I'm sure he would gladly hand over the captain's armband to somebody like that. For me, I would buy Cornelius in a heartbeat. I would have him at the club for his presence, for his because he's a Rangers man now. I know he's a Leeds United fans, and here's another thing: his kids are born and bred in Glasgow. Obviously, his wife settled in Glasgow. He probably would quite like to stay there, and he could go into a coaching role with the under-16s, the under whatever it is now, the under-20s. So I would have him as a squad player because remember, he's never injured. If we do get two right backs in and two of them are injured, there's Tav. Reliable, he's going to be there and reliable. That's right. And listen, I know, as you say, there's never been a player at Rangers that's more Marmite spread across than Tav. But one more year and a reduced contract as a squad player, no bother for me at all.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, it definitely couldn't be on the money he's on now. Obviously, I think everyone is in agreement on that. But it's one of those things. If he was there just to, as you say, to play a bit part, but then again, I could just see the same scenario, something else happening, another player being recruited to play, I'm not getting an injury or whatever. But it's the likes of Sterling for me. If Sterling's fit and available, he goes into that team tomorrow. That's just the way I think. I think he's that good. But the problem is, Frankie and Baz, he doesn't stay fit long enough.
That's it. Tav is never injured.
Yeah, what do you think of that, Baz? Like Frankie's right there. Like Tav's always there, and this is the problem. We all know what Sterling can do. He's been everywhere. He's played everywhere. His best position, in my opinion, is right back. But it's trying to keep the man fit.
Aye.
The biggest problem Tavernier's had, and you can debate this all night. He's been very unfortunate to play in a lot of squads over the years that haven't really been that good. And his stats going by 2 or 3 years ago for a right back for goals was absolutely phenomenal. And that wasn't just Scottish football, that was European football as well. Top goal scorer in the Europa League one of the seasons, absolutely unbelievable. And that can't be forgotten. The problem is the majority of the fans will just look at it. He's been there 10 years. He's the captain. He's won 3 trophies. And he can never get away from that particular stat. It doesn't matter whether we look until did we have a good squad? Did we have good players? Tavernier just takes the brunt of it constantly. And that's just being captain and being at the very top of that tree, he's going to get it more than any other player. That's just unfortunate for Tavernier. But the likes of Sterling, we had this problem. We had Sterling and we had what do you call it? Casimiro? What did you call it? Casimiro, who actually had pushed Tavernier out of the team. Casemiro got injured. Sterling got injured. And you're right, Frankie. Tavernier was available, wasn't injured, and he took the place, and he kicked on from there because with nobody else to do that. You've had Max Orange brought in, who was at the start of the season was in to replace him as right back. That was the intentions. We didn't have a left back, so Orange gets shifted over there, had an absolute disaster. By the time he came over to right back, his confidence was that shot. He was playing that poorly. Tavernier gets his shot again. So Rangers need to get the recruitment right at right back. They need to get the right players in to replace him as well. We can't just throw Tavernier to the wind and don't have the players there that can actually do a job to replace him. So that's another thing as well we need to sort out.
Here's a question for you two. Just a simple yes or no answer. Do you think Danny Rowe would like him here for another season? I think so.
I think he probably will, to be honest, because he's only, even at the end of the season, Frankie, he's literally still actually going to be only in the door, really, because the season will fly through and it won't be a full year, and he maybe will want to keep the ones around because, look, we already need a whole back four next year. When you look at it, John Suter is, as it stands, if you just look as it stands right now, Tavernier's gone, as it stands, John Suter's gone, your other right back option is on loan. You've got Giga, who's away because he's only a loan. You've got Fernandez, who was spent 3.5, who can't even get into the team. You've got a left back, one recognised left back there. So, it's all right saying get rid of everyone, but we're going to have to keep a few options because you can't go and change if you're playing for a player for every position, that's 8 defenders just to start next season, to bring in and have your backups and stuff. So I would say probably, I don't know, what do you think, Baz?
I think in the terms on the basis when you talk about how many players we can bring in at one time, I mean, John Suter at the moment isn't fit for purpose to play for Rangers at centre back. He's not. I don't really want to comment too much on the Scotland game, but John Suter was heavily all over the place for that first goal for Greece. I mean, he was absolutely shocking, and he's actually played quite well, Frankie, for Scotland previously, hasn't he? He's been quite steady.
I think he's very proud to play for Scotland, and I'm all for that. Good luck to the boy. But I've never taken to Suter, ever. I've never taken to him. There's always... But the thing is, he tries his nuts off, but he's just not good enough. It's us three. We could put the Rangers strip on Nick against Livingston this Sunday. We would try our nuts off, but within 7 minutes we'd be substituted with a dislocated shoulder, broken nose. You know what I mean?
And that's just a warm-up?
Tell me about it, man.
Well, just
Tav will be here next year. Tav will be here next year.
But I'll answer your question, Frankie, in terms of what you actually asked me with Danny Rule. Given the circumstances, and that's why I mentioned about so many players having to leave at the one time, I don't think Danny Rule will want to see Tavernier gone quite so early, considering the options he has.
Yeah.
And you talked, Frankie, about what Tavernier does behind the scenes and what he's like around the club and around the players. And this is quite strange for me because I'm not a Tavernier fan in terms of, because I do think he should have been gone probably last season. But when you really go into the crunch of it, are we ready to let a player like that go at the minute when we need to get rid of probably 5 or 6? It's a very difficult question.
Aye.
Well, we've got just to let you know, anyone who's watching as well, we've got memberships and stuff now on the channel. So if you want to be a membership, you can do this from as low as 99p. It sort of helps us out and helps us get more content and stuff out there. So if it's something you'd like to do, you're more than welcome to join us. And we'll have different chats. We're going to be putting different members only content and stuff up. We're thinking about doing a few different things in the show, me and Baz as well, because like Baz, he loves his boxing and stuff. So maybe doing a few watching the boxing when it's on and stuff, and maybe doing a few watch alongs together and stuff. I don't know if any has watched the last fight there, the old fathers versus the sons, sort of Ben and Eubank. Yeah. So what? I don't know if he's any has watched it, but I don't know if there's going to be a trilogy on that one or not. But Ben definitely got the Ben family got a win. I got a win on that Eubank vs Ben match.
I sat up till 4 a.m. for it, and it was crap. Let's be honest, the first one was absolute. Because I'm not the biggest boxing fan because of fights like that. Sitting up till 4 a.m. for it's going to be a classic, and it's been crap. But the first one was that's the kind of fight I want to see. Just two guys knocking the absolute granny out of each other. I don't care what belts are. I don't care what the purse is. I just want to see them knock beat the piss out of each other, and they did. Whereas that one, it was, it wasn't that. It was crap.
What do you think, Baz? I know you do love your boxing, but there's a few people commenting because a lot of people do love the box. But I set up to watch it myself, and they say Ben, he was all over him. Like, but what did you think?
Oh, Ben destroyed him. I mean, there's no other way around it. I mean, it looked like one of them YouTubers that was fighting Ben. He was terrible. He really didn't look too interested even when he came into the ring. I got that vibe from him very early on, Frankie. He, do you know when you just tell from somebody's body language?
Yeah.
You know, you get it with footballers too. Sometimes they come onto the pitch and you think he's not up for this today. He doesn't look great. But the problem in boxing is, Frankie, if you're not up for it in a boxing match, it's a different ball game. Like
the thing is for me, in the same token, see anyone that steps into a ring of combat, whether it's judo, boxing, MMA, you're an absolute legend. You know, I mean, even if you get sparked out in the first 15 seconds, to get there, to be on the telly, the stuff that you've done to get there is unbelievable. That's why I object to these YouTubers bellends earning these millions. You know, like the fight's just been announced by AJ and that guy. You know what I mean? And that annoys me. There's a kid there that's been boxing since he was 8 years or 9 years old, is losing out because of this guy, you know. And let's be honest, AJ should knock that guy Jake Paul out in about the same times it would take to knock any of us three out. If he doesn't, it's just it's a script. Am I right, Baz? You know way more better than me. You know, because he should just absolutely that Jake Paul's head should land in my front garden there. In reality, shouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If Anthony Joshua hits Jake Paul shouldn't be able to get up for about a week. That's the truth. I mean, Anthony Joshua is one of the heaviest hitting heavyweights that there's actually been. I know there's question marks over his own chin and that he has been knocked down a few times himself. But if that guy, I mean, look what he done in Ngannou. Ngannou is a UFC legend, one of the hardest hitting UFC guys that there's ever been himself. And AJ landed one right in his chin. That guy didn't get up. You know, he ended up with oxygen and everything. So Jake Paul's taking a massive, massive gamble here. They're saying it's Queensberry rules. What they're saying is that this is a fight. This isn't an exhibition. This isn't a Mike Tyson job. This is a proper fight. But you see, Jake Paul will do anything for money. anything for money. He'll go in with anybody. But you're right, Frankie. Some of these young guys who have been learning the trade from 8 years of age, they'll never earn the money these YouTubers are getting, because the YouTubers are famous. The thing is, Frankie, people will watch it. It's like the AJ Jake Paul. It will be box office history. It will go crazy.
I'll watch it.
Exactly, and that's the point. That's the whole point.
I think it's on Netflix, isn't it? And I'm pretty sure Netflix are already filming the two camps for the fight will happen, and it'll be then there'll be a series after, the build up and all. Listen, I don't particularly like the guy Jake Paul, but he doesn't. He knows how to make money, and it's. But I've been having TalkSport on all day, and the boxing guys on. I've been saying this should not be happening. This is actually dangerous. You know what I mean? This is actually it's essentially, maybe not like putting any of us three in there, but it's no far off it. And if it lasts more than 30 seconds, it is a fix.
I'll tell you, Frankie. There's one thing getting put in with a Mike Tyson, who, by the way, was 58 years of age, 58. And after training sessions, at times had to be helped up steps because he was that much in pain because of the training he was doing. You're fighting a guy in his 30s, a big, well-stocked 6'6" unit of pure muscle. It's crazy. I think it's unbelievable. Crazy.
And the thing is, I think you saw, was it in the first round against Tyson? Tyson had a big hook lined up, and Jake Paul's jaw was open. I could have hit it, and Jake Paul allegedly said, "Do you want your money?" or something like that. And you saw Tyson hold back. You know what I mean? And it's what's happening with Scotty here?
I think someone's maybe somebody's got into his car somehow, and
I've used Scotty on WhatsApp. I'll buzz him on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
To see if I don't like doing this when I'm on doing my phone, but I'll just make sure.
Go ahead. It's just to make sure it's Daphne Scott.
Scotty.
But anyway, yes. So someone's asking, is this a Rangers podcast? Well, it is, of course, but because it's international break, we did chat a wee bit there about a bit of boxing and stuff. But anyway, we'll go back into the Rangers stuff. Baz, what about yourself, mate? With Scott Fry, new set piece coach, something we probably needed to be fair. Obviously, when it was Clement, he had the chance to bring him one in, and he was enjoying. He says, "I enjoy the set pieces," and we're actually quite poor under him. Set pieces. It's something we haven't been great at. Now I know we've got a few goals more recently at Raskin and stuff but defensively we haven't been great on him. So what's your thoughts on getting this new guy Scott Fry in? Hopefully he can help us both defensively and offensively, and because it's a big way of scoring goals in Scotland and conceding, isn't it? Set pieces.
Well, offensively, you can score in many ways. You can do different types of things offensively rather than set pieces. But at the back, that's a huge problem. Every time there's a corner, every time there's a free kick, every time there's a ball played into the box, you're absolutely sweating it, aren't you? You're looking at the Rangers players defensively and how they're setting up, who they're marking, who they're not marking, and they're all over the place at times. And we've talked a wee bit there about certain players like John Suter, Tavernier, even Magoma. Looking at the set players, because when you look at the likes of Magoma, for some unknown reason, that young fella always ends up with one of the big target men. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand that, because time and time again, he gets caught out, he gets lost. And I'm hoping this new guy comes in. Me and Frankie were talking over earlier, and I hadn't knew too much about what was actually going on today because it was only home from work. So Frankie's filled me in a wee bit. And going by what Frankie has been saying to me and some of the stats that's been put across, Frankie, they look very, very impressive. And sometimes people will look at where's he coming from? What league's he coming from? What sort? You can either defend or you cannot defend. You can either set your players up right or you can't set them up, regardless of what league you're playing in. So going by what I've seen in the stats, that looks really, really good. I'm hoping that's a big positive, because it's definitely an Achilles heels we have at the minute, and it really needs sorted ASAP.
Absolutely. Let's see. Here's his stats, because I wrote this. I knew this would come out. I wrote this down. Lincoln scored 64 goals last year. 30 of them came from set pieces. That's a stat and a half. That's a stat. And I've also, but I said to Baz, I was talking to Baz about it. He is good. Every what there was a word they used from every dead ball situation, including the centre circle takeoff, the throw-ins, the keeper kicking out. He's in charge, and he's highly rated. And like people are saying, "Oh, we're going from Lincoln City." And again, me and Baz are talking this. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of Rangers fans don't realise. See, from the outside looking in as a non-Rangers fan, we're still toxic. We're still a toxic football club to go and work at because of what's happened in the last 14 years. Unfortunately, and I don't like saying that. I'm uncomfortable saying that, but there's still a lot of our fans need to realise that we've still got a lot of repairing to do. You know what I mean? So, but this guy's stats are brilliant, and then the problem is it's a Thelwell link, and it's uncomfortable, but you know, and Thelwell and the other baldy-headed guy like me, they're on a written warning, a final written warning. Need to get their stuff right. You know, they've had a backside to it because Mr. Kavanagh hung about an awful long. He was micromanaging there for a while, and he said himself, the only time you hear from him was the problem. He came and stayed in Scotland for 2-3 weeks there. You know what I mean? And those two will have been pretty uncomfortable with him hanging about. I know I'm when our senior bosses about, you know. So they've got to get it right, but it's, you know, take Thelwell out of the situation. 50% or 45% of your goals came from set pieces. I would have that because set pieces are more relevant now than ever.
Yeah, definitely, 100%, and especially as I say in Scotland, it's such a big part of the game, and we've been so poor at them for so long, you know. And you're hamstringing yourself when you can't match these other teams, Baz. You know, like your Motherwells and you know, I mean, your Livingstons and stuff when they come to play. You know, they're even like St. Goggies there for St. Mirren, we're always getting bullied. You know, when you think of these players, it's every time when we're playing them. But that's something hopefully this new coach will change, Baz.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I actually, I'm going to go back to, we talked about Fernandez. I'd actually like to see him in a wee bit more in the mix in terms of when we're playing certain teams in Scotland, where he may just be a player who can adapt to good set pieces defensively and offensively. You know, he's a big lad. What is he, 6'4", 6'5"? Could be maybe even is he bigger than that? It's right about that. And sometimes you need to use certain players to their advantage, and height is one of them. Some people will argue Nico Raskin gets plenty of headers and he's only 5 foot something. It's all about the positioning. It's all about making the right runs and timing runs. But sometimes it's good just to stick a big lad in there and mix it up with the likes of the Goggies of these worlds. Somebody who can rough and tumble, somebody that's bigger than other players and can rough them up a wee bit. Just even if you're putting players away so that other players can come into play. But it can't be any worse, can it? I mean, what?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Gogic, I would go for him, and I would go for Gogic at Christmas. I would get him in a heartbeat. That's no hairs and graces, just a good, solid football man, knows the game. You know, from that Eastern European mindset, and Eastern Europeans don't get much wrong when it comes to Ibrox. You know, and you know he always causes us hassle. You know, and he can kick the ball as well. There's a bit of, I mean, he's no Beckenbauer, but he can get forward as well. I would have him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. So another one we got in was Kevin Thelwell. Obviously, he has confirmed that he's going to be bringing a youth coach in. Let me see. So this is Jonathan Hunter-Barret. He's worked under Kevin Thelwell at Wolves. We'll just have a look. He's started off as Walsall youth manager, then went to assistant manager at Wolves youth manager, then got up to head of academy of coaching at Wolves, and then ended up the academy manager at Wolves. So he obviously has a bit of credentials youth-wise, and I know a lot of the support aren't too happy, obviously, because Kevin Thelwell knows him, and we've heard Kevin Thelwell telling us certain people are good at their jobs before and then sacking them about 2 weeks later, if we can remember that. But listen, if you just look at his credentials, you know, at Wolves and stuff, he's been there a long time, well after Kevin Thelwell, and still been there and going through the ranks. And it seems to be a lot of people who know the youth setup down in England think he's a good, and it's good at his job, Baz, and it's someone. Well, it's definitely something we need to sort out at Ibrox, because we've got the world class facilities there, but we just don't ever seem to bring these young players through. And hopefully, this guy can help that, Baz.
We've been talking about the young players for how many years now? You know, when was the last big breakthrough academy player that started for Rangers? Who was the last person that done that? You know, it's a long, long time ago.
But the thing is, it's extremely hard to do. For you to get into that starting 11, you must be unreal. And that goes from Rangers, the other lot across the street, even Aberdeen or Dundee United are the big teams down south. But if he's been the coach at Wolves for such a long time, like somebody's commented on my page, said, "Oh, it must be great. Wolves are bottom of the league." He's nothing to do with the Wolves first 11. He's a youth coach. You know what I mean? But if you're in any sort of senior position at an English Premiership team, you're pretty good at your job, especially if you stay there for a while. You know.
Yeah. No, what they say that the problem. I'm just saying, Baz, Frankie. You know, there's a comment there from Sid and stuff. He's one of our best commenters always on the watch the shows. But this is what a lot of the people, a lot of support are going to think. Baz, straight away, you know, they're going to be going, they're well saying useless, don't want him. Do you know? And it's going to take when can you judge if someone like a youth coach is how well they're doing? Because it's going to take a long time, obviously, to get it all changed and get young ones through, isn't it? You know, before you can actually judge.
I said this to Frankie earlier that you know, no matter how good the credentials are of some of these people, the fact that Thilwell is endorsing them is a huge problem with a lot of the supporters. That's a major problem.
Yeah,
unfairly or not unfairly, the likes of the youth academy coach and the set piece coach, it's not their fault that they're being given a job. I mean, when they come in, they should be able to prove themselves on their own merit. The issue is Thilwell. That's the thorn in the side. It's not these guys. We can look at their stats. We can look at how good they may be. But the fact that Thilwell, it's just another job for one of his mates. And Frankie, we talked about toxic, and that's one of the issues at the minute, isn't it? Anything that Thilwell touches right now, the fans just aren't interested. And it's how we get away from that.
See, I've hit the reset button with Thilwell. Like his interview the other day, I guess it's called an oxymoron. I hated that interview because he never had one bit of accountability. See if he'd turned around and said, "Listen, I got it wrong. I'm going to do better." We'd have been sitting here in a different conversation. We would have been right. Well, okay. Like Mr. Kavanagh said, "I got it wrong. I will fix it." You know what I mean? But that does include Thilwell. That means he's fixed Thilwell. If you know what I mean, which we just give him that. You know, Thilwell isn't going anywhere, or he'd been gone now, and he wouldn't have done that interview. So as hard as it is to accept, we've got to take this one in the chin and say, the boy's here. He's not going anywhere. So I want him out the door now before anyone shouts at me, but he's here and we've got to accept that. You know what I mean? And he's got to get it right this January's difficult, but you know, but then to contradict himself, the next two people he brings in, he knows. You know, but that the boy Scott Fry, his stats are off the charts. They're off the chart, to be fair.
Just quickly, Mark Scott, first time listening and great job. Thanks, man. I'm glad you're listening. I hope you join more often. Say, come on to YouTube as well. There's loads of ones commenting on that as well, mate. So thank you very much for listening in. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So we'll move on quickly, guys, because I say we're only doing hours, we're 15 minutes left. So I'll quickly go on to the Willie Collins situation because we haven't been on since then. He's going as we podcast show again. There wouldn't be a fucking podcast show on refereeing if they were all good at their jobs, but unfortunately he has to be on all the time because they make that many mistakes. But Baz, he's sticking by his man and saying that a boot to the head's not too bad as long as it depends what force it is, of course. But you can boot someone in the head if it's not too much force. You know, that's the new rule. That's what basically what he said in live TV.
Well, what I don't understand from Willie Collins is the reality is Jack Butland has full control of the ball. He has firm control of the ball, and Trusty decides to stick his foot out and hit him in the head. Now, if I was caught in CCTV in the middle of a street and done that in somebody's head, I'd probably be arrested and probably given, you know what I'm saying? So the intent was there. It's regardless of the actual impact that Butland received. The intent was there. Jack Butland most definitely has full and rightful control of the ball, and Trusty has no need to do what he's done other than a moment of absolute idiocy and sticks his foot in the Butland's head just because it's the side of the foot. I just don't understand it. Willie Collins made a huge mistake, and I'll tell you what the problem is. They've set a precedent now because all players will be able to leave their foot into the goalkeeper's head. Because they will be able to do that now. Because Willie Collins has now set the benchmark to say that you can do it. Well, except if you're a Rangers player for some reason, you can't seem to do anything. But I think it's a shocking from Willie Collins.
Yeah. And where's the threshold? How hard is too hard? Where's the parameter? A broken nose, a split eye, unconscious, an eye. I mean, don't kick somebody in the head or you will get sent off. And it wasn't as if it was a follow through where it could be maybe classed semi as an accident, where it was a 50-50, because goalkeepers do dive at feet and they can get a sore and they are, they're idiots, goalkeepers. But he actually changed his body to kick him in the head. It's like you say, if I break the 4-in-1 window, call the women a tart and they would serve chips and cheese, they kick a guy in the head in the street, I'm getting nicked. You know what I mean?
But all you need to do is bring Willie Collins as your defence lawyer, and he'll say, but he only tapped him. He didn't hit him full force. He didn't chin him like Joshua. He just done a wee tap just allowed it. But it's a load of nonsense. But we'll go on to this one then, Frankie, because we're sort of going short. But I want to get your views on the big game coming up in the weekend. Baz, how are you feeling getting into that one, mate? It's a good opportunity for Rangers to get a proper run going here, going by the fixtures we've got. What do you think could keep us confidence going and keep these wins going? Are you confident getting into the weekend?
I said at the start of the show when we talked about Danny Roll, about confidence. Yeah, I'm very confident with Livingston. And, the way things have been recently, it's nice to have a wee bit of confidence. It's nice to look at your squad of players and look forward to a game at the weekend and not absolutely dread it, which at the start of the season, all Rangers fans were thinking exactly the same thing. We're not looking forward to playing Hibs. We're not looking forward to playing Motherwell. We're not looking forward to play Dundee. And at this moment in time, and I'm not getting carried away with it, but it's just nice as a Rangers fan to look at your team and think, do you know something? I can see the 3 points. I can see us actually executing what the main reason for me is because I think Danny Roll is the first manager since the last probably 3 or 4 that actually is trying to understand the low blocks, trying to understand how to break these teams down that sit with massive back lines. He's trying to work it out. He's changing system. He's playing 5 at the back. He's playing 4 at the back. He's shifting players around. I think he's trying to make the team work. And for me, as a fan, that gives me confidence in my coach that they can go and get these players to do a turn.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes the other managers think as well. Because since he's come in, I think it was even the Hibs manager said, since his game plan changed completely when Danny Rowe came in. Because watching the Hibs game, I think I counted 4 complete setups, not just slight setups for 2-3 seconds, changing. It makes the other team think. What I would like is to give somebody a doing. Go out there and beat them 4-0, 5-0. And set down a pressing, because against Dundee, we went 2-0 up after, was it 12, 11 minutes or whatever it was? I thought, let's go in here 3-4-0. We still won 3-1. Which any of us would have taken before the match started. But I thought, but it'd be nice just to give somebody a doing, put it in there. But as you say, I'm the same as you. I'm confident going into this. There's still that little bit of doubt in the back of the head because of the scarring that Russell Martin's left with us, But Danny Rose now had time to, there's the guys in international break, but he'll be extremely personal with the guys that are back. I'm going to assume they'll be back tomorrow. In fact, I think they were back on Friday, I believe, full-on training. So they were probably on Friday, Saturday, maybe a half-day Sunday, or, So we'll get this week for them to, the core of them that are not away, to, extra coaching, extra understanding, extra classroom work, the personal stuff. So I can see... we're still at this stage, though, as Danny Rose said himself, he just wants to win matches. So if we win 1-0, so be it. You know what I mean? That's it. It's all about 3 points and up the road. And we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Like Danny Rose said himself, right now he just wants to win football matches. Then later, further down the road, we can look at the more attractive stuff. And I've actually taken that as next season. That can start to happen. Not so much right now. Again, 3 points up the road.
Yeah.
And I think Frankie says, or Baz is a great point. If we remember an interview, I think it was last season when Andy Halliday was talking, obviously he was still playing. I think it was Motherwell or something. He was on loan too from Hearts. And he was saying, look, any dressing room he's in, whether it's Hearts or Motherwell, when they're playing them lot, they're like, this is going to be a tough game. When they're playing Rangers, the manager doesn't even have to set out the stall of what to do because the Rangers never change. It's the same amount of formation, same amount of players, and they know. But now under Danny Rule, it's as Frankie said, there's actually times he's changing even in the. We were winning that last game at halftime, and he still changed it and made different players on and changed the shape again. And even if that gets you 10, 15 minutes before the other manager sees what you're doing, it can also mean that it gives you 10 or 15 minutes to get up in the game and get maybe a goal. And I think that's what the difference is now. These managers, and every time, and he's got a fresh mindset. And if he thinks in the game, they've changed their shape, they adapt to what I'm doing, he can change it again very quickly. And I think that could be the difference for us, Baz.
Did you want to jump in there, Frankie?
The chap here, Mark Scott, says the strikers need goals to get confidence back. That's important. We need the 2 lads up front, or the 3 lads. There we go. That's very important. We need Termiti and what's his name? Score goals. I think they're just
Miovski.
Miovski. I think Miovski's in a dip. Miovski knows how to score football in Scotland, and people have said, "Oh, he needs certain. He can only play a certain way." Well, Daniel will do that. He will work. He'll be working on with that. That's what a manager's job is to do, is to think like that. If we think like that, do you know think he does? You know what I mean? It's but yeah.
No, it's I'm just having a look at the comments here just to see if there's saying Bajrami needs a game and stuff. What's your thoughts on that, Baz? What do you think of Bajrami?
He played well against England, actually. So he did there at the weekend. He actually had a half-decent game. Bajrami's a good player. I mean, I know we haven't really seen a lot of that at Rangers, but he also hasn't had a lot of consistency in minutes in the pitch. It's the same, but it can be said about young Curtis and different, and Cameron. And there is players there who I potentially see maybe during the rest of the season getting extra minutes and maybe getting to play a lot more game time. But I like Bajrami. Whether he suits Scottish football is a debate. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, he's another player, Frankie, who plays well for their national team but fails to deliver for us.
I know.
So, Assegarb is the same at the weekend, had a decent game, hasn't really played well for us. Raskin had another great game, has been probably better out of the international players than most. But Bajrami, it's a difficult one. The best time I seen Bajrami was when Bajrami was marking McGregor in the Old Firm games. That's when I actually seen him at his best.
Yeah. Could have been a of homesickness. That kind of thing.
Possibly.
That's something we forget at times. As somebody that lives abroad, I've never suffered from homesickness, but I've seen what homesickness can do to people, and it's brutal. It can be brutal.
Yeah.
Because see, what's the winger? Ant-Man. I think that's his problem. I think he just doesn't quite. He's not quite settled in Scotland. I think there's a homesickness there, and it's people put. And homesickness is a mental health thing. Let's be honest. And so maybe that's, especially the Arab type people, that maybe is not. And these guys are extremely proud to play for their national team, extremely. So that's something we forget. And that's my thing with Ant-Man. That's in my head. There's maybe a wee bit element of homesickness because he got off that plane that day, played out his skin, and then he's disappeared since.
He was fantastic that first game.
Aye,
fantastic.
There we go. Ant-Man scored for Finland. Yeah.
I've seen that goal. It was actually a nice finish too. It was actually on the left-hand side, I think, the way he came in from the park.
Right,
but I think he'll be all right.
what I would say is, like, Frankie, you know better than most people about traveling and about, being away from your normal home and having to go back. So you'll understand certain players who may feel that way, who may aren't maybe out of their comfort zone. They're in another country. They're in another, it's a very different thing for them.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's not easy. Like, my local, I put up I did a thing at Y33. It's called. There was a guy in there the last time I was here, and he was, I love this place. It's great and all that. And Brian, the guy I drink with most there, he said about a month later, he actually admitted himself, says this isn't for me, and cancelled his visa application. Went back to. It was someone, I can't remember. I mean, Canada. It was a Canadian guy. I liked the guy, real good guy to talk to. I thought, you'll make it here. And he was like, nah, this isn't for me,
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Say time flew in there a wee bit, but what do you think? Just we'll put in score predictions. We'll start with you, Frankie. What do you think of a score prediction for? Well, you're wanting a hammering, so you might get it.
I don't know. I'm going right. I've got encouragement. So I'm going to go for 4-1 Rangers.
4-1 Rangers. Still conceding goals, but who would put a bet against us not conceding a goal? We know what we're like.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Baz? What do you think?
Mickey Moore's got his first goal. I think he's going to be well up for this game again at the weekend. I think he's going to be busting to get a continuation of goals. It depends how he sets a team up. If he starts with Chimity, probably not as many goals. If he starts maybe with Danilo, you might get a few more. But I'll put it out there. I'll go 3-1 the Rangers. I think that would be a good scoreline at the weekend.
There you go. Well, I got to go for Frankie's hammer and say 5-1. Why? I don't know why, but why not? We need to give someone a good pacing, so why not with Levy at the start of David Martindale? Send him home happy with a Rangers victory, because we know he loves the Teddy Bears. But anyway, listen, Frankie, do you want to give everyone a wee sort of plug on what you do and how to find you and stuff on social media?
No, just what's it called? Rangers Now on what's that thing called? Facebook, and I can't remember on YouTube. Whatever it is, Frankie Talks or something like that. But yeah, that's it. So just come find me, man. I'm almost my followers are almost the same as the capacity at Ibrox. I'm almost at 40. What is it? 40, whatever it is. I think I'm about 250 short of the capacity of Ibrox of followers. So I'm quite looking forward to that one.
Absolutely amazing. Brilliant. It's been great to have you on, Frankie. Thanks for coming on, Baz. I hope you've enjoyed it as always, mate. And as I say, go ahead. Don't forget.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. Thanks for having me. I'll come on anytime. Just give us just a tad bit of warning, just because just the time and all that. You know what I mean?
Absolute pleasure. Just one last thing. Big shout out to Northern Ireland. They're playing Luxembourg here very shortly. And up the Green and White Army. And I only say that for Northern Ireland, by the way, the Green and White Army.
I'm going to stop and watch it. What time does it start? How long from now?
It's 8:15.
8:15 kick-off, so
I'll go lie on the couch and see what happens. I'll probably wake up there with a cat gouging my eyes out again or something like that. But yeah.
But say Northern Ireland, it'll be a good atmosphere as always at Windsor Park.
Absolutely.
And same as yourself, Frankie. Hope you get the result you're wanting for Scotland tomorrow, and anyone who's watching it is Scotland fan.
Absolutely.
And listen, it'd be great if we could all get there and we'd get someone else to put the bins out for once, and it wouldn't have to be us doing it when everyone else is away during tournaments. But I appreciate you all coming on, Frankie, for coming on, Baz, and everyone that's in the comments. I'll try and get something sorted for Friday, see if we can get someone on to have a bit of a chit-chat with us, just to chat more about the upcoming game. But if not, we'll be chatting the game on Monday. Thank you, everyone.
That's brilliant.